What's happening, everybody, and welcome back to the True Gamer Podcast, the podcast hosted by two gamers for you, the True Gamers. I'm one of your hosts, Eddie, along with my bro, the inverted gamer himself, Sheps. Bro, how's your back doing today?
Yeah, my back's in... I was just about... You ruined my joke. I was going to say I'll just put my hair up, get ready, bro, but never mind. No, my back is absolutely destroyed from warming up in the gym. I actually had... I wasn't going to mention it, but since you're shaming me in front of everybody, I got
That laugh.
a tiny little... this is my chicks. Like, I don't know... Who is that? It's one of the rabbits from Bambi, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
I've just got that tucked behind me to... Oh, God. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's good.
Yeah, I'm at that age where keeping yourself healthy might kill you.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I did, speaking of the gym, injuries at the gym?
Yeah, perfect.
You recently told me, it was like, if you, because I have a leg problem. Like,
Have you been doing that rehab work? You have?
No, not at all.
No,
I've been taking off my
Sick.
shoes, however, to do like
squats and deadlifts and stuff. Yeah.
That. And I've become more cautious because I feel like my feet are unprotected, and you're walking around the gym that's just all metal, basically. And I've been looking where I've been stepping, and I've been being super cautious about that. However, I didn't take into account one bar that was about ankle height. Shin height, I should say, and smacked it twice, and it was like, oh dear Jesus!
I walked into
right before I did the big deadlift, so I was like, oh good.
I walked into a trailer hitch a couple of weeks ago, and that absolutely took me out.
Those are so bad.
They're so bad because you're walking into it with like your full weight. There's no give the other way.
Full speed.
It's just awful.
Was it in a car park where you're trying to get between cars? That's the worst thing, isn't it? Because you're like, oh, I'm gonna slip through.
Also, what are you doing with a trailer hitch on your Hyundai Accent or whatever it is? Like, what are you doing? You're not towing anything.
Be thankful it wasn't on like a truck, because then it'll hit you in the nuts because it's so high up. So
Yes, and at my height. Dunk, knock me out.
Anyway,
yes, gaming podcast. That's right.
Welcome everyone to this gaming podcast. Just a quick shout out to our super bros who support us over at patreon.com/Conbrosations. That's Sheps' crusty right nut. Thank you so much for the support.
God damn it.
Your nut is so supportive. It's speaking of nuts.
Yes.
You know how we do our, if you guys want
I thought you were going to tell me about the
podcast,
Carlac romance, but anyway.
It's related.
Oh, okay.
You know how if you watch the Conbrosations podcast, sometimes we do like weird things when we're saying like test 1 2 3 test.
Yeah.
For some reason, our minds go to testicular torsion.
Oh God, yeah.
Which is like the worst thing if you're a guy. It's a very severe medical thing that happens, is where your ball just flips the other way for no reason, it seems like. Yeah. And you could lose your testicle. It's a bunch of things. Really bad stuff.
Yeah, that's one of my like deep fears for some reason.
Deep fear. And I told my girlfriend about it today because of the thing I'm about to show you.
Okay.
And she was like,
oh God.
Oh, it could happen like any time, right?
Just at any time.
I told him the shopping bag analogy that you said in the last one. We're like, how often does that twist when you're carrying it?
All the time.
Happen.
Or literally all the time.
And you're walking
every
like
single time. Yeah.
And then I was like, I saw this pop up on Twitter.
Oh God.
And it combined my fear of that with my love of gaming, which is Baldur's Gate 3. And it's like a stat sheet for like a spell to cast testicular torsion on someone.
So have you seen it's been...
It's the worst. And it's got like a little diagram on it of like
it's
a
awful.
ball that's flipped the
it's
other
awful.
way.
Considering the stuff that's in Baldur's Gate, that could be real.
Yeah.
Have you seen on YouTube and Instagram and stuff? I've only really seen them on YouTube Shorts. It's these wizard battles, but they're casting like ridiculous spells. Like, I cast itchy bones,
and then your bones are
no, titanium testicle, dunk. Yeah, those crack me up.
No, I haven't seen any.
Those crack me up. Hopefully this stuff gets you more into like the D&D space, because there are some incredible jokes.
It very much is getting me into it. I've seen some other like tangentially related D&D stuff because of the videos I've been watching online and whatnot.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk a lot about D&D after our main topics.
Okay, cool. I'm totally down. I'm totally down.
We're going to have a big old nerd discussion.
Yeah, okay, cool.
If you're a D&D guy, you're going to love it.
If you're not, I swear it's still cool. I swear. Also, I'm doing a home game sort of every other Sunday. Today I'm going to buy little pots for health potions. You know, health potions? In the game, it's like 4d4. I'm buying loads of d4 and putting them in there, so you'll have an actual health potion to use in the game.
See, this just sounds so fucking cool now.
And I finished working on my story with Rob this morning, so I have like a big. I'm not going to tell you in case you join the campaign.
When you say home game, what are we saying here? Like people come to your house, or
we go there in my high street. Two of the players they live there, so we go to their place because it's just a bit bigger, and we hang out in person, play the game. I need to start building like maps and figures and stuff because it's all like with the power of imagination at the minute because it's been a bit impromptu. Yeah. But we could get a 3D printer. We could print out characters, monsters, that sort of thing. So ideally, we're doing it every other Sunday. Like the last 6 weeks, someone's mum was over there, South African, so we couldn't play recently, but we're going to play on Sunday.
Every other week doesn't sound too bad.
It's not too bad.
And you're not that far away from me. And how long are we talking? Like a couple hours?
It would probably somewhere in the range of 3 to 4. It's a gaming session. Right. Yeah, it's a gaming session. Yeah.
I might take you up on that.
I'd love it.
I'd love it. I'm so into it right now.
I would love it. And
you saw the way I played last time when we did that one game.
You did. Yeah.
I went into it.
You got into it.
Character and everything.
You got into it, and that was like that was actually. Sorry guys, we'll get back to the real topics and then back to D&D. That campaign was me testing out like the world and seeing if it worked, which it kind of does. And I've had a better chance with these guys to make it work. I've got my big bads. I've got a couple of conspiracies in play. I've got the hooks. I've got the connections between things. I've got the multiple different ways they could do stuff.
This might be fun.
Have I told you how they fucked everything up and took themselves to? So the way I build a world is I make a world and make it work, and then things are in the world. Right. So if they do certain actions, it is possible to get to things that aren't intended for this campaign because the world works. The stuff is in there, and they absolutely fucked it. Session like 2, yeah, D&D's hilarious. I love it so much.
So I did see one as a tangentially from like thing, and it was a. It was a D&D game. They're like, you're in like a room, and there's a girl in the corner, and one of the guys immediately comes at us like, can I roll check how old the girl is?
Oh god!
And then he's like, what? And then people are like, why the fuck do you want that? And then he's like, I said I want to roll it. I mean, I did. He rolls there. She's like, all right, there you go. She's like 16, whatever they come up with, and they're like. It's like, can I roll check if she's cute? We're doing something else here, whatever it is. And it's like, Anyway.
Also on rolls, so like I play, it's a homebrew campaign, meaning it's my world. Yeah. We play standard-ish rules, but one rule, I'm DM, I'm God, basically. So if you want to do something and it's cool enough and you've given me a good enough reason for why you want to do it, how it should work, I'll let you try it. And we also play high risk, high reward, which means in normal D&D, you have a 20-sided dice. You roll a 1, and that 1, the worst you can possibly do, you fail. And that 20, the best you can possibly do, you're likely to succeed. In my game, if you roll a nat 20, you roll again to see how good it gets.
Oh, okay.
And if you roll another 20, you keep going. So one of my players got DM level knowledge and took like 6 points of psychic damage. She learned something about the world no mortal, not even the gods know in my world.
She knew so much.
She got DM level knowledge, and she had to roll a save and failed the save, and she took some damage. If you roll a natural 1, we then roll to see how bad it gets. So you roll a 1 and then you see how bad that gets. You roll a 2. It can only get as bad as like a -20. I don't allow that to keep going. Right. But if you roll a nat 1 and then a 20, that's as bad as it can possibly get. Friendly fire exists. So you go to shoot, you roll that bad, maybe shoot yourself, maybe shoot a friend. Yeah, it's fun.
This could be quite fun.
Anyway, it's first topic. I'm sorry.
Our first topic of this gaming part. That was gaming. That's cool.
That is gaming. That counts. That totally counts.
Way worse tangent.
Way worse. That totally counts.
Our first topic is that Xbox Game prices have increased while simultaneously making them worse.
Oh wait, no.
At the same time, yes.
Oh.
Who could have seen this coming? Like, we didn't say this around the Activision merger. We didn't say this was going to change everything. Of course, they're going to push the price up. We said that even before they were thinking about doing
Shocked
it.
Pikachu.gif.
Right. They can't sustain this model with those prices. No. Then when they added even more stuff to it and bought a nearly $80 billion company, they're like, I wonder if the prices are going to go up. That was also the crux of the argument for the FTC.
Yeah.
They're going to make gaming way more expensive.
Yeah, way more.
No one listened to them.
Yeah,
here they are months later. Oh, look, they've done it.
Who could have? Oh, the really frustrating thing is we are not smart men.
No.
And we've called this. I think you and I have been saying this is a bad idea and it's going to go this way since like 2019. I've been saying Game Pass was a bad idea since I think 2017, but not to this level. And then months and months ago, we're like, they're going to pay $70 billion and not put the price up. I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
And they're doing this all crucially before Call of Duty comes out.
Of course.
Because if they're going to get people on there and they're going to put because they famously announced that, like, of course we're going to put Call of Duty on Game Pass for people who have the day one subscription. Of course we're going to do that.
Obviously.
And by the way, we're also obviously pushing the price up.
Of course. Of course we'll do that.
You're an idiot. Anyway, here's the new pricing structure.
Yeah.
So do you remember a couple of months ago they wiped out Xbox Gold? And they just renamed it basically to Xbox Game Pass Core.
Yeah.
Same price, $9.99 a month if you get it monthly. You don't get any of the day one stuff. You just get a curated list of 25 games. There's high quality games. But
do we know what those games are? I didn't even check. What's the point?
From time to time, but also it's very subjective. My games might be different to your games, different to their
it
games,
changes to other person to person.
Well, no, it's still the same game.
Oh,
but
with
what you class as high quality.
It's not like God of War, The Last of Us. Exactly. I know they don't have that on Xbox, but like it's not those level of games.
Like I don't think Redfall is any good. Someone else might, but Xbox might be like, yeah, that's a high quality game.
Or Starfield, perhaps.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But none of those games are on there. It's just all lower tier games. Anyway,
okay.
$9.99. That one has stayed the same right there. They've introduced a brand new tier called Xbox Game Pass Standard.
Okay.
$14.99.
What do I get for quite a significant subscription?
You get not day one games. You don't get day one games in this tier.
So the main selling point of Game Pass.
Yes.
Cool. Okay, cool.
You don't get that. You apparently get hundreds of high quality games. Again, it doesn't say what it is in here.
Doubt.
But it's their own interpretation of high quality.
Yeah.
You get online multiplayer, so like what you
COD and stuff,
stuff like that, and some members deals and discounts. It says in there, which is like PlayStation.
So hundreds of games I don't want to play, but I can play online with my mates.
Right. And you don't get the main selling point, which is of Xbox Game Pass, where you get the day one games of all their like their new.
All for the small price of what's that, like 160 quid a year?
Exactly, something like that.
Versus like the PSN equivalent, which not to suck the Sony peen, but that's about 60 quid for the year.
It's just that. Before, I think it was 14. It was $14.99 for Xbox that had the
but you got the day one,
the day one games in it. So they've taken that away essentially, and they go here's a new tier. It's not a new tier. What you've done is just taken out the day one games, and that's what's happening.
You did what we always complain about. You didn't make something better. You made one thing worse to make another thing look better.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like when there's a sale on and whatever. It's like the WAS price went up, but the price stayed the same.
Yeah.
That's what's happening. And they've moved the day one games that everyone knows Game Pass for all the way up to the highest possible tier, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which has increased in price from... It was $16.99 to $19.99. So you're now paying $20 a month, and that's the only tier where you get the day one games. All that stuff about like, well, just get Game Pass, just get Game Pass, just get Game Pass.
When we all play, we all win.
Now is like completely null and void because it's like, now which Game Pass do I get? Oh, only I have to pay the highest amount possible.
For the thing that provides the actual value, the reason you would go with the Game Pass option is £20 $20 a month. $20 a month. That's not cheap. And look, I understand the alternative argument is, well, if I'm going to spend, what's that? Let's call that 200 quid a year.
I was going to just calculate that.
It's 240, I think.
$240, yeah.
240 versus how many $70 games is that? That's 4.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Just under.
3.5. 3, you buy 2 and you sell 1 back and get another game, right? So there's your 240. I guess it depends what games you're going for. But equally, like, there's no point, if you're going to play COD as your game, there's no point getting Game Pass now. You should buy the game. But maybe that's their point. Maybe they're trying to force people to start buying the games again to save money.
Well, here's the thing. If that is their objective, then it's what we said all along. that Game Pass was never a good idea.
Yeah, obviously.
It's still not a good idea.
Agreed.
They're now recognizing it's not a good idea, and they're making it so unattractive that it's like, fuck it, just buy the games normally.
Yeah, it's $24.99 in a couple of years. It'll be $24.99, game 70. Why would you ever do it?
And that's the whole end point of my argument here, is that I feel like Microsoft have realized that they've completely fucked up the whole
Are you
industry.
suggesting they should just make good games?
Strange.
Get out of here with that nonsense.
Strange concept.
There's no world in which they start making good games and people sell their PS5s to buy an Xbox Series X.
I think they've come to the conclusion, they've realized that like this Game Pass model was always terrible. It was never going to work out.
No.
Especially at the price that they first started, and they always had to make it go up anyway.
Of course, yeah.
And they've realized, they must be realizing now, they've made it so expensive that it's like beyond any person's possible, like, oh well, that was just a couple of bucks, I'll just chuck that.
Yeah.
So that's gone out of the window. So now and now they're just stuck with a player base that is trained to not buy video games.
Yeah.
And now they're like, we have to try and bring them back. We have to try and bring them back into the mold. We've got Call of Duty. We're going to make this so unattractive that they'll go and buy Call of Duty, and maybe they'll be attracted to it again. Unfortunately, what you've done is you've lost the entire player base, and they've moved over to PlayStation, or they've moved over to PC, or they've moved over to Nintendo. They've left you behind.
Yeah.
You don't have a player base anymore.
And the thing is, the only thing of significant value on Game Pass is the day one release for free, quote unquote. The other backlog, the catalog, it's not enticing, which means there's no good reason to do it now. If you're going to pay for your games, you would want to be somewhere where lots of good games exist. Nintendo, PC, PlayStation. Right? And I get that people are upset at PlayStation for the PSN stuff, the Helldivers stuff, people are still wound up about it. I get it. But if you're moving and you want good games, that's a good place to be.
Yeah.
Not on Xbox, where the best things they've given you in the last recent years are Redfall, Starfield, Halo, with the heavy air quotes, honest, right? Like, it's not like we're not going to get to play Doom. We buy Doom the same way you're likely to, because you're not going to get it day one. You know, there's no great reason. So thanks for ruining gaming, Xbox.
Yeah, that's if we take a step back and we look at it from the top down of all the events that happened in the past decade.
Yeah,
Microsoft flubbed the launch of the Xbox One.
Happens though. Recoverable.
Happens, shit happens. Out of some weird, deranged desperation, they created a service that almost cratered people's understanding of what value is.
Yeah. And didn't make them any money, by the way. It cost them money.
They got progressively even worse. Like, they didn't get any better. They've sold less and less consoles as time goes on. They've had to con Microsoft, the daddies, the people that are giving them money, to buying these bigger studios at the hopes that they'll eventually be able to claw it back. And then the net result is they're having to go back to selling boxed games at full price to hope to recover, to get into a healthy business position.
Crazy idea. What if you just made good games?
Nah, that can't be an idea.
You know, and like, okay, say you have a few years of bad games, just for whatever reason, awful Xbox management. You start making bad games. Well, you've got the homework. Yeah. Copy the homework and change a couple answers and put your name on it, and give us a Last of Us type clone, give us a God of War type clone. You know, you change your thing around. I mean, they've been trying to do it with The Witcher for ages. Like Assassin's Creed Valhalla is effectively an attempt at copying The Witcher.
Yeah.
Effectively.
Shittily attempted.
Do some of those, make them good enough.
I was going to say, as much as we shit on AC and Valhalla,
it's only because they specifically go after The Witcher 3, which is one of the high watermarks, and they miss it mainly because they just filled it with lots of things to do, not good things to do.
As much as we shit on them, though, they still sell lots of copies.
Yeah.
And that's because some players are just built into buying dumb shit. I mean, people buy FIFA every year.
Right, exactly.
Same shit.
FIFA. There are still people buying GTA 5.
Exactly. There are dumb people out there that will spend money, and they've captured that audience.
Yeah.
Microsoft could have captured that audience as well, but they just decided to not also make any good games.
Yeah, they made no
or
good
any
games.
half good games.
And look, I get the idea of, well, maybe they still buy the big studios. Okay, cool. But they had plenty of studios that are great and have great IPs. So I know I bang on about Banjo-Kazooie, but they own Rare. Rare has a bunch of great IPs. And then they have things where they say, we need small games that win awards the day after they shut down the studio that made Hi-Fi Rush. A small studio that made a great game that won a bunch of awards. Like, this is what we're talking about. Is not that, like, Xbox as a product is bad. It's that Xbox as a company has horrendous decision making. At no point does it make sense, even to the point where they come out and say, we're going to turn right, and the day after they've turned left. They specifically did one thing and then said, we're going to do this other thing. Then why did you go the exact opposite direction yesterday? It doesn't make any sense. So they have the IPs. It is not a lack of talent as well. They have some incredibly talented people there in those studios. They have the money to pay for, and we've said this before, pay 30% above market. Don't buy any studios. Pay 30% above market for the best talent and make some good goddamn games.
Sorry.
You're good?
Heaven forbid they pay for, like, overpay for some good developers. Heaven forbid. However, they'll overpay
and
for a studio.
And managers.
Right. However, they'll go and overpay for a studio and then shut down a bunch of studios inside them.
You go and buy Activision Blizzard, then you get rid of all the people that made the company what it is.
Yeah.
Like,
and also doesn't do like PlayStation when they bought Bungie, part of the fee that they paid, I can't remember how much they paid, it's like a couple billion or whatever it was.
I think it was 6 or 7.
I remember 8, but whatever it is, around that mark.
It's not a small chunk of change.
A percentage of that, like a double digit percentage of that, was earmarked for retention of talent. It was like, cool.
Why would you want to buy Bungie and not keep Bungie?
Exactly.
Why would you want to
why would you want to buy any company and not buy the people that make the company?
You would buy Bungie because they made the single most successful live service game on consoles, arguably, right? At least in this sort of sphere of what we think Sony's angling for. You would not want to get rid of those people because they have all the information, the knowledge, the experience of how they did it.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
And
also smart of both Bungie and Sony to agree to that because the people that made the product you're buying, you want those people. Exactly. You don't want the label that made it.
Exactly. And none of the 80 billion that went to Activision went to keeping anybody there. And then afterwards, there was a bunch of people that left on their own accord. And then there was a bunch of mass layoffs as well. It was like, what the fuck? What part of this do you think it's just the title on the door?
Yeah.
Do you think it's the title on the door that makes the video games? No, it's the people, bruv.
As an analogy as well, this is sort of like you buy a music label that has like, say Taylor Swift under it. And then you're like, well, let's get rid of Taylor because she's expensive.
Yeah. That makes sense.
What is it? Huh?
Yeah.
What? Like, that's what they're doing here.
Yeah.
They're getting rid of all of their talent, all of their draw, but they own the label. What? Why? What?
Back to this price thing. So, as I mentioned before, core, the base one, no day one games, £10 a month, $10 a month. Standard, the new tier that's coming in, again, no day one games, the same as Game Pass as it was before at $14.99. But just remove the day one games. Apparently that's a new tier just because they've removed features from it.
Again, you make a product worse and then make another better one that's just more expensive.
Exactly. Yeah. And then there's the ultimate, which is $20 a month where you get the day one games as well.
I think I'm going to hit Twitter and start trying people. You should be happy about this. This is good for Xbox. You like that,
This is actually really good for gamers. Yeah. And then we do have to mention as well, PC's Game Pass as well went up very slightly. It was $9.99 before and it went up to $11.99.
Okay.
But you do get the day one games with it. So why console players have to pay $20 a month and then PC players only have to pay $12 a month and they get the same...
I never understood why this happens with PC. I mean, we know it's because they would pirate stuff at much higher rates.
Exactly.
But I'm playing exclusively on PC at the minute. I haven't turned on my PS5 for gaming in a little bit of quite a few months actually. Mainly because what I play, I have on the PC. It's the better way to play it. Even if I'm using a controller, it just runs at a faster frame rate, etc. I still don't understand why. If I'm getting, let's say, like Hogwarts Legacy, if I buy on the PlayStation, it's one price. If I buy on the PC, it's like 10, 20 pounds
cheaper.
Yeah, look, how is that? They're both digital copies.
It's all absolute insanity because if you think about it logically, well, the real reason, do you know what the real reason is? The real reason is there's a platform. Sort of like a platform tax, essentially. Okay. So like it goes to other people. If you want to put your game on PlayStation or on Xbox, there's a cut that we have to take from it because it's on our platform and we've made this platform and all the customers are here. So we're doing all that hard part for you. Understandable in a certain way. Cool, no problem. They could, in theory, for their own games, knock that platform tax off because they're not going to take a tax from themselves,
Yeah.
so they could knock that off. And games could be the same price as it would be on PC, but on things. So like God of War could be 60, whenever else it's like 70 or something like that, etc., etc.
Yeah.
But that would look so bad to the other people that you're trying to get sold on here, and it would create this like inequality where it's like, oh well, their games aren't as good as these games, and I can get these for cheaper, so I won't buy those games.
Yeah.
And also it's an opportunity to get that extra money as well from people, which is extremely dumb because you've already bought into the system. You buy a console, you buy all the controllers, you buy the headsets from them. You think you'd get a bit of loyalty from that. You think you'd be like, cool.
Loyalty is a one-way street in the consumer world.
It is some bullshit. And that part I understand with PC gamers are like, you see, I open the free market's much better over here on PC and stuff like that. They try and say it's like, oh, well, you have to pay for online. It's like, it's their own infrastructure. They don't, this is the price of doing business because we're on your system. We're paying for buying games. Anyway, so PC, they get an incredible deal still. Yeah. But they get all of that stuff. I mean, it's still Xbox games you're getting, so...
The word deal is a bit relative
subjective, isn't it? But in comparison to console players
getting shafted.
So badly shafted. Especially when... An additional $8 a month, almost double the price.
Especially when sort of the pitch, which we have said we thought was a bad idea, but the pitch was you can get into a next gen, quote unquote, current gen console, cheap as possible. You get Series S. Not a good idea, but it's something you can do. And then you can do a lot of gaming for a very small price. Well, no, telling me Game Pass, if I want the day one release, is as much as my Series S, which I didn't want to begin with. I was just trying to save money. So it doesn't... It just feels like
the old bait and switch. Get them in on the low price Series S.
Do you want to keep driving your Tesla? Well, that requires you want to be able to use your brakes. Well, it's $9.99 a month.
It's a lot of people do this. The governments, for example, where they were like, oh yeah, if you have a smaller car, like a smart car or an electric car, for example, you don't have to pay road tax and you don't have to pay congestion charge when you're coming into thing. A couple of years later, well, you have to pay congestion charge. I mean, you're still taking up space in London, so you got to do that, and obviously you got to pay road tax. You're using the roads, right? Oh, come on, you got to, and then the price of electricity eventually will go up when they're losing money off of the tax of fuel. It's the same bait and switch we see all the time. It's just greedy people wanting more money.
Yeah, they will always find another way to tax you until we get out the guillotines again. Unrelated. Anyway, besides the point. This is the reason I do feel bad for the Xbox users, not Xbots. Xbots deserve to suffer.
The Xbots deserve to suffer. The innocent people, however, who just want to play some freaking video games and were sold the lie of Game Pass.
Yeah, and like my brother was one of these. He was living with a roommate a little while ago. They had an Xbox. I think it was an X at least. And they had Game Pass, and it made a lot of sense for them because they're not hardcore gamers. They wanted some fun little games to play, the odd like random title here or there. It made a lot of sense. You know, they split the Game Pass, so it was like £5 each or something. And they got a bunch of games. They weren't interested in day one releases. They weren't interested in the newest thing. They don't really care. They just wanted to be able to do it when they had a bit of time. Made a lot of sense for them.
Standard.
That makes sense. But if you care about games, if you want to play a new game, like if you're Alpha Aquila, you're waiting to play like Alan Wake 2 when it comes out. I know it's out, but as an example, you're getting shafted. You know, if you love gaming as like the premier entertainment form, and there's things you're waiting for, things you're looking for, you're getting done over.
Yeah.
And it's not cool. Like the Xbox doesn't excel in any realm over a PlayStation or a PC. In any realm. Not price, not convenience, performance, nothing. Experience, the dual sense isn't there. You know, 3D audio isn't there. I mean, I'm sure that audio is fine, but they don't. There isn't a service to map your ear canal and get the perfect audio, right? Like
that was crazy.
That's insane.
I think Game Pass's whole conversation amongst us gamers needs to completely change.
Yeah,
because prior, the conversation was get Game Pass, you get everything, get Game Pass, get everything. That was because every tier, the standard one and then the ultimate one, used to get the day one games, used to get every game that Xbox offered. It was the bigger service. Now, however, you only get that if you go to the highest of the 4 tiers.
Yeah.
I think now Game Pass is no longer a conversation. It's an option, it's there, but a bit like how PlayStation Plus, the what's the top tier? The premium tier.
Yeah.
We don't talk about premium because it's like it's there if you want it. It's on the side. Not many people are going to go into it. It's there. It's a bit expensive as well.
Also,
this needs to be treated exactly the same way. It's Xbox, and they got this thing on service on the side if you really want to spend a lot of money, but it's not really a thing.
We actually do need to talk about the PlayStation top tier because they did it. People whined about it. They went, well, the only thing I want it for is this backlog of games, this back catalogue. Actually, that's the thing the fewest people want. And if you're a very specific niche gamer, that's a very specific niche service. And so they stuck it in the top tier. The thing everybody wants, these guys stuck in their top tier. That is the difference in pricing and pricing strategy. It doesn't necessarily offend me that a niche service costs more for people that want that like old huge catalog of old games. It's very few people. It's not cheap to do, so they can make some money out of you. Fair enough. And if you get a service that is otherwise unavailable to you, fine. I think that's reasonable, and I think we said that at the time. What Xbox is doing is predatory. There is a difference.
Speaking of predatory, the FTC are back because of this price increase.
Oh yeah.
FTC, I'm reading the title here. FTC blasts Microsoft's new degraded Xbox Pass standard tier and price increases. Microsoft's price increase of the and product degradation combined with Microsoft's reduced investments in output and product and quality via its employee layoffs. So citing all the things that we said. Are the hallmarks of a firm exercising market power post-merger.
Funny, I thought that was the big defense. That was Sony's thing, saying this will be bad for the market and it will be bad for the users. And people said, no, it won't. And here you go, immediately after, immediately what we said, not to, and this is not to be, we are not actually Sony ponies. They are giving us the best service right now. The second that stops, I'll be a Nintendo fanboy, I'll be a Sony, or fanboy, right? An Xbox fanboy. So when Sony does something bad, we rip into them for it. Like the PSN thing is stupid for like Helldives and all that stuff. It is dumb, but also they give me the best AAA gaming experience. I don't want to play Starfield and Redfall. I want to play The Last of Us and God of War.
We want to play what Starfield should have been.
Absolutely.
That's what we're playing.
Are you kidding?
That deep, that big universe, that space exploration.
I'm all about that.
That's what we were sold, and it's not what we got, unfortunately.
If that game had been like a Baldur's Gate level game, I would have bought an Xbox. I would have bought a Series X just to play it.
I tell you what almost pushed me into trying it. Somebody made a Batflick mod for the character with like a beautiful flowy cape.
That would have done it for me.
I was like, oh boy, do I pick this up?
Good, that would have done it for me. That would have done it for me.
So just the rest of the headline here for degradation. Removing the most valuable games from Microsoft's new service combined with a price increase for existing users is exactly the sort of consumer harm the merger the FTC had alleged. So they predicted it nail on the head. No one listened to them except for us sane-minded people.
And for the record, the problem is that the argument was split like pro Xbox or pro PlayStation. That wasn't the argument. It was pro gamer or not. And I don't give a shit who buys what studio, provided it's done in a way that benefits us as consumers. I don't like Bungie being bought by PlayStation doesn't really affect the marketplace. Bungie has one game. Sony's going to be bringing out other games in a similar
vein, and they remain independent as well.
Right, exactly that. And they kept retention. They kept their people. That is the way to do this. It wasn't about Xbox or PlayStation. It was about us as an end user, and are we likely to have this giant corporation do something that negatively affects us? Well, let's look at their history. They haven't made anything good in 10 years, and they've run studios into the ground, and they say they want small studios that win awards and then close small studios that win awards. And then these guys, they buy the thing and immediately lay people up. Like, come on, man, we all knew it was coming. No one can be surprised. Hopefully this allows them to pick up the FTC again, and they say, well, actually, you alleged this, you told us this wouldn't happen, it has now happened.
I want to know what could happen possibly in this situation, because surely that's far too raveled up now to unravel.
There are anti-monopoly laws. This looks like a player on a monopoly in the entertainment industry. As a lawyer, right?
You're saying it on the internet.
I'm not a lawyer, but I have watched all 9 seasons of Suits.
Damn, that's pretty.
So
pretty impressive repertoire there.
I don't think there's anything. Also, I did do the bar online. I didn't pass it, but I did it.
I failed spectacularly.
I missed it by like 2 questions, and it's not a legal system. Yeah. Well, it was like a bar test. Like, would you be able to pass the bar? And I missed it by 2 questions.
Okay.
For a country whose laws I don't know. That's not the point. That's almost a success. Another way to phrase that is I'm almost a qualified lawyer.
Almost a lawyer.
If I pass the bar, that technically counts. My point is...
Go ahead.
This sounds like a monopoly to me. It sounds like a very convincing argument for a monopoly. And when it was brought to court, they said, well, it's not a monopoly for these reasons. And then they go and immediately do those things that allowed them to... said they weren't going to do it. It was allowed to continue. And then they did those things.
Do they have to... Can they compel them to sell it again?
I think it can be taken off them.
Shit, I just thought it'd be like...
It can be broken up. And look, if the money...
Damn, that's crazy.
Okay, who gets paid out when you buy a company? The money changes hands to the companies, but then it's absorbed. Now, of course, some of that goes to bonuses of people stepping down, but you can't unfire people.
Yeah.
So, have people unquit. But yeah, like you did something, it was predatory. Also, when you do something wrong, there are fines and crime. Like crime comes with fines and jail time.
The fine
can be you paid this fee and then tried to be a monopoly. You lose the money.
The fine part. Oh, okay, lose the. See,
that's your fine. You paid for this thing. Like you paid for this thing. You told us you wouldn't be a monopoly. You did a monopoly thing. Your fine is you lose the money, idiot.
That'd be a
no
crazy
monopolies.
Repercussion.
No monopolies. Get fucked.
It'd be very interesting to see that.
I feel like happen. The fine. I feel like 80 billion sounds like a lot, but
that sounds like a lot of a fine to me. When you said fine, I was like, I don't want it to be a fine because it'll be like 10 million, and they got 10 million coming out of their arse and whatnot. But when you said 80 billion, I was like,
GDPR. Do you know what the fine is if you breach GDPR? No. The maximum fine is 10% of your gross revenue, not profit. And that's for the company. So if you're like Google, for example, and you get like the EU rules that you breach GDPR and it's like the worst thing ever, 10% of your gross revenue.
Jesus Christ.
For
a massive company like
something like that. I think that's accurate. But regardless, it's a lot more than you thought it would be.
Damn.
And it's
who gets that money? The FTC?
I guess the government.
They will just pop champagne afterwards like, we got paid, boys!
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you where you know that money isn't coming. To us. Yeah, it's not going to those potholes.
Right. They're not going to fix the roads. They're not going to fix inflation. They're not going to
But suddenly, these fraud investigators walk around with Rolexes.
Did you see that video that did I send it to the group chat of the 2 British posh boys going to shop for socks?
No, I haven't seen this.
It's one of those it's very quick videos, maybe like 60 seconds long. 2 posh boys.
Yeah.
I believe they're gay, but that has no relevance on the whole video. But you can tell from the way they're dressed and the way they're holding a handbag and whatnot. Okay. But it adds to the flavor of it, right?
Perfect.
So
the drama, the clutching the pearls moment.
Exactly.
Yeah. I love that shit.
We went down to Savile Row or something like that, and we booked an appointment with our sock maker. And I'm like, already I'm triggered. I'm
my blood pressure just shot through the roof.
Who has a sock maker? And he goes, and we had an open and honest conversation with our sock maker about some socks that we need and for what event we need. I was like, what would an open and honest conversation with a sock maker look like? Do you know what? Scratch that.
I need it to be bold.
What's a dishonest and closed conversation? And he goes on, and then apparently they go £115 per sock.
I mean, I can believe that.
And they're like, "Oh, we landed on cashmere because it could be worn for a gala or a fundraising event."
I'm about to do a hate crime.
And he's like, "However, you can only wear them 2.5 times it because of the
2.5
because of the delicate cashmere and how they're made, or whatever." And they're looking at all these colors, and then eventually in the video, he's like, "So then we just settled on 20 black ones." And I was like, this is rage bait, surely. Rage bait for the working class.
It's garbage. I was going to say, I'm about to do a hate crime. Nothing to do with them being gay. It's to do with people who shop like this. That is my specific serial killer target demo.
And I went to go look at all the other videos, and it's just more rage bait like that. Like they went to go, we bought me and so Derek, or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
That's not a posh enough name for sure.
No, it's going to be Hugo.
Something like that. Me and Hugo bought a candle the other day.
Humphrey McDuffin,
right?
Esquire the Third.
Me and Humphrey McDuffin Esquire the Third went and bought a candle the other day, and we need a lighter for it. So we went down to this jewelry store, and we shut down the jewelry store.
What's wrong with the big bruv?
And they've got these 3 gold ones that they can only handle with gloves and whatnot. And it's just a lighter. They just go like that. Oh, that's a good flame.
Notice the flame. Yeah.
So this is.
It's got to be rage. I need to follow this.
I'll send it to you.
Thank you, because there are some things I just love to hate. That's going to be
so good.
That sounds like such great
It was
entertainment.
so good, and I have to believe they're doing it on purpose. It's just too much.
It's got to be. It has to be.
Anywho.
Yes.
Microsoft bad, as usual.
Do you know what's really sad is they have such a platform for good in this realm where...
I have some good news for you.
Yeah?
This may be a good... It's terrible for the optics of Xbox because of how bad they're running their ship.
Okay.
But it's good news for Halo fans.
Okay.
Apparently,
Halo's being taken over by id.
Moving forward, close.
Yeah?
Moving forward, the Halo series developer 343 Industries will only supervise development for future entries in the series as Xbox.
Why are they supervising? I'll take it.
Yeah, I don't know why.
I'll take it.
Supervising implies that they have some sort of like influence, which they shouldn't have at all.
This is genius. 343 goes, actually, we do it this way, and they go, thanks for letting us know, guys. Axe that idea.
That idea was awful. Get that. Put that down on the list of things we don't do.
Hard one, eh? Oh, they were going to use a hook that has a shitty mechanics. Okay, cool.
Get that out here. You know what? Why don't we make Master Chief take off his helmet? No!
Let's have Master Chief die and then have Cortana pilot the suit.
Yeah, his corpse.
And then we'll just bring him back in season 2. It's fine.
Speaking of taking your helmet off and the TV show of Halo, they've cancelled the TV show, by the way. After 2 seasons, it has now been cancelled by Paramount Plus.
Shockspikachu.gif.
Yeah. The thing is that the first season got watched because there was like obviously hype.
It's
Halo's coming around.
Yeah.
After the first couple of episodes and reviews from half decent people, they were like, "Oh my god, this is awful.
It's terrible."
People hate watched it. They were like, "Oh, what's going on?"
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the hate watch was not good enough to warrant the season 2. However, Paramount were like, well, the numbers are up. We're making a season 2, baby.
Yeah.
Season 2 comes out like, no one cares. Oh, okay, well, let's cancel.
I've only seen a couple of episodes and I got very angry about it. Not because, also, by the way, they had, have you seen any of it? Like the pilot or anything?
No.
They have John in some difficult situations, which I don't mind at all. Like he is a government super weapon. Before, when we don't know about the Covenant, his job is to put down rebel forces, which is to say he ganks noobs, right? Like the idea that they would have him like order him to kill a family member, the remaining family member of the rebellion. Perfectly reasonable. Plausible, and likely that he'd probably do it. He's a brainwashed super soldier. Like that's his deal. His job is to follow orders. I don't necessarily have a problem with it. It actually raises a lot of really interesting questions for John, his personality, and all of that stuff. What I do have a problem with is awful writing, shitty graphics. I mean, there are fan-made projects that look better than that show.
I did see the one fight with one of is it the Arbiter?
I haven't seen it.
There was a fight between one of the aliens. And I think the alien's called the Arbiter, right?
No, so the aliens... The one you're probably thinking of, they're called elites. Okay, so the Arbiter. Okay, cool. Then that
he's one of those aliens, but
you play. He's a playable character in the game.
I think I remember.
He's really cool as well. He's awesome.
I saw graphics of that and it looked so awful. It looked like a PS2
I'm
graphics.
so glad I didn't see that because the Arbiter is freaking awesome. He's a great character. He's incredibly well written, and there's all this. So ultimately, in the games, you end up effectively teaming up with the Arbiter because you know what's coming is worse, right? He and you know that the Flood are out there. You have to deal with this thing. If the rings get activated, that wipes out everything because they exist to...
And I feel like I remember a bit of the story where like the guys who sent the Arbiter, they were like bad guys manipulating.
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
Yeah, they're sort of leaders of the religion and the church and stuff. But the Arbiter... His job is to kill the Master Chief and to look after the faith and all of that stuff. And here he knows the truth, which is that they have to do something else first. And there's real tension because he kind of needs to kill the Master Chief. Maybe has a shot at it. I mean, he's hardcore. Also, the Master Chief is like the Master Chief.
Yeah. He's the big chef.
He is the big chef. So, like, there's some serious tension. It's so well done. It's so well written. And this guy has fallen from grace because of the Master Chief. Like, it's so interesting. And I'd be really, really, really angry if they got the Arbiter wrong. And even more angry if they got John wrong, which it looks like they did almost immediately.
Yeah, it seems that way. But I don't know. I'm not an expert.
However, you should really play those games.
Cancelled.
They're so good. Yeah, I mean, that has to be a pro, right? Also, we've had shows do poorly and then get remade and be good. You know, like there have been bad Superman shows and movies and then they get remade and there's good ones. Yeah. Same with Batman, there's bad installments of that. Yeah. Like, I'm okay if in 10 years they go, you know what, let's do a real shot. Yeah.
If they can pull out a good Halo game, then it would instill like that hype again, and maybe they could take another crack at it then and start from scratch. You know, pretend it didn't exist, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. You just restart. We do this all the time.
Exactly.
Like almost every Superman movie starts with an origin story. We all know the origin of Superman, but it's important to show for your new Superman. You can take it in whatever direction you want. That's fine.
Well, you would think, but James Gunn isn't doing that, so there we go.
Well, you know.
Yeah, as the tip of the iceberg there. Okay, that was all the news for today.
Yeah.
Now let's get talking about Baldur's Gate 3.
Yes.
Because in the last 2 weeks...
You don't have to justify it.
In the last 2 weeks, I've dived so deep. I've restarted my campaign. Yeah. To be honest, the other ones didn't have that much time in them. I remember like 3 hours in 2 different characters. For some reason, I started it twice. Don't know why I did that.
Yeah.
And then I started it again, and I'm now at like something like 30 hours or whatever it is in this. I bought a whole new mechanical keyboard.
It's very clicky.
And a mouse with all the RGBs because I need the extra FPS, obviously.
RGB, that's at least 30 FPS.
Yeah, exactly. At least 8 each, so there's 16 there. You go right there. Even though I'm maxed out already at 60. But I am enjoying the fuck out of it.
What have you done so far?
Okay.
By the way, Sophie, you're a sociopath.
Yeah.
She's not playing the Dark Urge path, and she sided with the goblins. What the fuck?
She sent me a picture of Karlach's head.
I know, she's hardcore.
What the fuck is it? That's my wife. Don't do that.
By the way, the Karlach romance is incredible.
Yeah.
She's so sweet. You know what?
I feel bad because Shadowheart's saying some sweet stuff, and I'm like...
Shadowheart... So, obviously there is no wrong decision in this game as far as I can tell. Actually, I would say... Have you met Halsin yet?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've just freed him.
I can't stand that guy. But he's romanceable.
Okay.
He seems to be the only bad romance that I can... the dude, I can't stand him.
Gale almost kissed me.
Dude, Gale's awesome.
Yeah.
I want to go through and do a couple of... I think anyone will romance anyone. It's not like a Cyberpunk where they have preferences. Yeah. So I want to go through. I want to do a Gale romance for sure. Will's got some interesting features that I want to like. I just want to explore him. He's an interesting dude. Yeah. But first things first, the girls, the big three. I think Shadowheart is intended to be the obvious like go-to romance.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. She's a great character. She's super sweet as well. And there's Stillwater's run deep with that one as well.
BDSM, bruv.
Bruv, I immediately called... So I know that this is true, so I'm not going to tell you, but like I figured a lot of stuff out about her very early on. And I feel like I've done the same with Lae'zel. So I'm going Karlach first, then Lae'zel. Because I think Lae'zel... I do my best to not see anything Baldur's Gate related story-wise, because there is so many different options. I think I'll still get spoilers, even if I play the game once or twice.
Yeah.
But things like builds and memes and stuff I'll watch... I think Lae'zel is going to be a really interesting romance. I think you've met Lae'zel, obviously.
Yeah.
I think Lae'zel is just scared, and she's like in an alien world with an alien parasite in her head, and she's defaulting to like the stuff she knows from her childhood, which is violence and aggression to solve your problems. And I think if you get her to, because as the game progresses, anytime you like save kids or something, she'll be like, yeah, that was, you're supposed to do that. And I think if you can pry into that a little bit more with the romance, she'll get really, she'll soften up a lot. So I'm really interested in that. And Karlach's fantastic. Karlach's the best. She has mad puppy energy.
Yeah.
She's so good. And I think Gale's going to be interesting. There's so many good romances that I have to go through and play so many more.
Ariston's one's very
Astarion,
Astarion.
He's the only one I think I would be least interested in.
The problem is that I now, you know how we went to, is it EGX or Comic Con or whatever, and we spoke to some artists over there, and some artists were like, we sold out of the
Astarion's one. He's got big gay vampire energy.
And I didn't understand. We both said was like, I don't understand the fascination.
I don't get it.
I was a bit too soon in my gameplay, but also I've seen like lots of videos of him. I didn't get it, but I think I see what it is that people see in it.
He's got like wounded goth energy.
When he bites. I feel like the game's been out a long time.
The game's been out for ages.
And also this part happens really early on as well.
Did you let him bite you?
I did let him bite me.
Me too. I went to see what would happen.
I was like, let's see what happens. And there's a bit there and I was like, I could totally see this going down the path of, I'll let you bite me, daddy. I'll let you bite me, baby.
For sure.
And I'll feed you. And then he gets all horny and like worked up from the energy he gets from it. And then it happens during sex and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Have you seen True Blood?
I haven't seen True Blood.
It's very True Blood.
I can see that's the kind of thing, and I can see these kinds of stories happening in those books that girls read all the time.
That's the thing.
Now I'm starting to see it a bit more. I'm like, all right.
The reason we're talking about romance. The reason I'm less interested in Astarion in terms of a romance is he feels very broken goods, basically. None of them aren't, but he's also this like rich, decadent, opulent. He's looking for power. He's giving into urges, all that stuff, and it's just a bit basic for me. I get he's exactly the perfect romance for those slutty novels, but I'm not super interested.
That's not my take. Yeah, it's not my flavor, I should say.
Yeah, exactly. There's no wrong option. I'm just not. Not
things that I've done so far in the thing. So I did destroy the Goblin Camp. That was a very fun one because I did it without alerting everybody first of all. I did it more like in stages and whatnot.
There's a companion character in there.
Character. Let me just think
one of those generals you can have as a companion.
No way. Yeah. Oh shit.
Apparently it's doable without going evil as well.
Oh, that's
people
why'd you have to tell me that? Now I want to.
Well, now you have to reset
the whole thing. Reset the whole thing.
Yeah, Minthara. She's a companion and a romanceable character, and she apparently is also quite interesting. Yeah, so I'm going to try and save her in the next one. You don't get her until about midway through Act 2 because she pops up again if you don't kill her, and then you have to save her from being executed or something like that. Cool. But yeah, so there you go.
I did something wrong. I should have done it this way. This would have been a cool way to do it. So after I killed a couple of the generals, I let out the spiders.
I did that
and
too.
I used my animal speaking and my animal checks to be like, Goblin tastes much better than me.
Obviously.
Go and taste some Goblin. They're like, yeah, fuck it, let's do it. By the way, the way the animations they've done for those things where they're like moving like that, I'm like, very, very unnerving.
Yeah.
And with my arachnophobia, I'm like,
couple of things on
let them out, killed a bunch of the goblins that were left, and I was like, man, I wish I did that from the start because it could have been so fun to watch them massacre everyone.
A couple of things I want to really highly suggest to you. Abuse potions in this game. Get every potion you can of animal speaking, of speak with dead, of healing. What character are you playing? Paladin, didn't you tell me?
Paladin, half elf. Yeah.
So like, depending on which way you like to play it, you want to get like elixir of hill giant strength. So like I'm playing a monk. So basically like Neo without the magic.
Okay.
And
I used that a couple of times on Karlak to make it even bigger.
Oh yeah, there is one. So fairly often I will give her one of those potions. I forget exactly what it's called, but it makes her larger. And then I'll cast Enlarge on her, and she's just this
fucking hell.
Yeah.
And she's already like a barbarian.
And I have her as a polearm master, so she has extra range.
Oh,
beautiful. So it's absolutely ridiculous.
Oh, that's mad.
It's absolutely, and she's the exact right height.
So there's a few things that I'm having to learn in this. So like I had to, because this game is very different to every other game.
Very different.
And I had to relearn how to play it. And it's given me a bit more of an appreciation for this game.
Yeah.
How different it is. Because where in most games it's pretty linear.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of thinking outside the box that happens with this. Sometimes you might think, okay, maybe I bounce off of that and then it will hit that thing. That's one thing. But you really can think outside the box with this. And Larry and have thought about all of it.
Yeah, it's a D&D game.
Yeah, like I was blown away by just being able to shoot levers from a distance to activate them. And I was like, oh, that's crazy.
I think you could also use mage hand, stuff like that. Yeah.
And then I learned even more things like, for example, I went to the Adamante Forge.
Yeah.
And the big enemy that's there.
Yeah. You can drop the hammer on him.
Exactly. Yeah. I pulled him closer to the thing and dropped the hammer, and I was like, oh shit, that's huge damage. Yeah. And even one that's a bit more complicated that guaranteed not a bunch of people don't know.
Yeah.
If you fill up your backpack with like smoke powder and like explosives, and then you throw the backpack and then shoot the backpack, it's this gigantic explosion. And it was like a cluster of enemies, and I did that and threw. I was like, of course, that's insane that they thought about this, and it just shows how great Larian is at making
little
this.
things. So, like, you know, if you press Alt in a room, the Alt key, it shows
you all the things.
So
not everything,
but loads of things, so like keys and stuff like that. Yeah. A lot of things people ignore, like bottles of grease. But you know, if you have a group of like 5 enemies and you hurl a grease thing, half of them are going to fall over.
And then
or you can light on fire.
Ignite.
Yeah, exactly. Same with ice spells. Like you can hit one enemy and it puts ice down below, and then having these dudes fall over as they're trying to attack you is hilarious. Yeah. There's so many good things that you can do with it. Also, things like that you may not know. If you give, say, for example, Karlach the Circlet of Blasting, so she'll get Scorching Ray as a spell.
Okay.
There are some of these items give you spells, right?
Yeah.
If you have Karlach Rage cancels out spell. You can't use spells if you're in a rage.
Okay.
So you have to think about, well, what benefits the character the most? Karlach rages, it's unlikely that I'm going to want many spells in her roster. If I give her loads of objects that allow her to cast spells, then I'm not going to be raging.
Yeah.
So that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Also, she's a barbarian, so
armor's not good for her.
Not heavy armor. If you use, you can go up to like leather armor, medium armor.
Yeah.
But above that, she'll have a very high AC, but I think it's almost all of the benefits of her rage go away if she's in heavy armor. So learning those things is really important.
Yeah.
So it's just there's so much to it.
So much appreciation now for it. As I said, I destroyed the goblin camp.
Yeah.
What's the girl at the Grove with the snake? The woman with the snake?
Her. I forget her name.
Something like that. Anyway, I spoke to her, and he was like, oh, get rid of all the tieflings and the thing. I spoke to the guy.
Yeah.
And I was more sympathetic with him because she was being a bit of a bitch. I was like,
she's a bitch.
You was about to attack a kid. I was like, I'm not going to be on your side. And then I spoke to that guy. He's like, we need help. We need to go out there. We need to settle down this thing. We need to do something. If only Halcyon was back. And as I was going to go to find Halcyon, I met the woman, the healer in the grove.
Yeah.
And then I followed her back to her place. I got a little bit lost in that area.
Yeah.
And I happened to find a book that had a note in it that was her plan with the Shadow Druids to conspire against Halcyon and knock him off of the top position. And I was like, I just accidentally stumbled upon this. And I went back to the Grove and I confronted her with all the other guys. I was like, she's working with the Shadow Druids. Yeah. She's not even all about you guys.
D&D.
And then a fight came out. We killed her, and all the guys were so appreciative. They shut down the spell that was like going to lock off everything and whatnot. And all the tieflings were saved. I was like, and once I get back Halcyon, we'll see how that goes. I got him back, but I haven't finished that quest line yet. But I was like, this is such a cool thing that I just stumbled upon something.
There's other little things like
all the way out.
One thing you may not know, so you may have found like little holes and stuff that animals can go into. So if you can't wild shape, a way to get into that is there's another spell called Seeming. So you can turn yourself into a halfling, and then you can cast Reduced on yourself, and they can get into there. Equally, let's say you're going to speak with dead, and you find like a Githyanki soldier, they're not going to want to speak to a half-elf paladin.
Disguise yourself.
If you disguise yourself as a Githyanki, they're more like to talk to you.
That's pretty cool. I tried that one time, and now with you saying it makes so much sense that you could do that for like speaking to dead. There was a sword I won from a Githyanki guy.
Yeah.
He had like a dragon next to him.
Voss.
Yeah. I got his sword, and it was like, it had special bonus damage on a Githyanki.
Yeah.
And I don't have Lae'zel on me. So there was one time I was like, let me try disguise myself as a Githyanki, see if it gives me the buff. It does. And I was like, oh, sick. This is great. It's cool.
Also, if you're doing something that relates to one of those characters, it's a good idea to have that character with you. So like, if you have Lae'zel with you when you go and meet Voss and the dragon, you get extra options, extra dialogue and stuff. It's not. It doesn't make a huge difference because they're not going to cut you out of certain things in the game, but things can go different ways, and you can gain extra things. You can gain more approval with that character.
This is the part where I'm going to mess up, I'm sure, because I don't often switch my characters out.
Who are you running? What's your party?
It's always Will, Shadowheart, and Karlach.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. This is a dumb thing. Do you know that if you're going into, for example, a discussion with somebody, if you go in as Will, you get Will's stat bonuses, not your own. So he has higher charisma, for example. Yeah, cool. You know that, yeah.
I don't do it often, though, I have to say.
I forget.
Sometimes I'm just going in. Here we go.
I found a hat that gives me advantage on persuasion and deception, so I just use that.
And I have guide. There's an additional roll for like persuasion on gloves. I got.
Oh, okay.
And then also, I don't remember if it's specifically on persuasion, but Shadowheart's always next to me giving me guidance, and I'm like, safe. I'm never missing anything until I come up against a 20 door, and I'm like, ooh, I'll save before, and then I'll try it again.
Or you go and get Astarion, and he'll lockpick and have no problems with it.
Yeah, you see, that's why I should be switching.
Yeah, and also on that rig, it doesn't take long to just like go back, grab someone, come back.
Yeah, every time I'm going back to the
go back to camp, Astarion.
The camp is just so quick. But what? And I am constantly thinking about it because I know there's storylines that progress and whatnot, and I could miss out on a bunch of stuff. Right now, the one that's interesting me a lot is Gale's one, giving him the magic items to consume. I was like, what would happen if I didn't give him
he'll leave you.
Oh, will he just leave?
He'll just leave.
I thought like he'll transform into a monster and we have to take care of him. And I was God.
I think he comes back as an enemy, I think. I don't actually know. I've never done it. But I meant to, like, I started the talking with him, and I was trying to find the right object to give him because this was early in the game. Most of what I had, I was using, and I cancelled the thing, and it was like the 5th time I'd done that, and he was like, "You know what? Fuck you," and just left. No, I got a save scum. I would have given you a thing. I just don't know what I've got on me. It's been 2 weeks since I played.
There is a really aggravating thing. I guess it's just because I'm used to other games that allow you to explore every dialogue option. You can't explore every dialogue option. Sometimes you'll go to 2 of them and then it ends the conversation, or like it goes down a path that you just can't return down. I'm like, fuck, but I really want to know what would happen if I said fuck you.
As a general, well, you can save scum it. There's no harm in doing that because it is a game. Like, it's your game, enjoy it. I would say for dialogue options, unless you have one that gives you where you have tons and tons of bonuses, if you get the option to do like a paladin one because you're running as a paladin, I would pick that because those are unique. Like, I pick all the monk options when I get it, unless I have like, if I have 3 + 6 bonuses, I'll go with that because I just like to have the big dice rolls. But if you get something that says paladin, probably go with that just because it's unique to that playthrough. If you go back and play as a sorcerer or a wizard or a rogue, you will not get that. You'll get other things. So see what they have to say, see what insights they have. It's so fun.
It is so fun. And I'm still in Act 1.
Yeah, so that's right. What else have you done?
Sorry, I've what else have I done? Struggling to think of what else I've done. Oh, I've gone into the Underdark.
Yeah.
And I helped the Myconoids kill the nerve guy.
You helped the mushroom people, yeah?
The mushroom people. Cool. They said to me, they were like, oh, there's these. First, they said there was like these like troll-looking characters. I can't remember what the exact word. By the way, I should have said this at the beginning. I'm really bad with names, and unfortunately, I'm extremely bad with made-up things. Yeah. Because they're completely made-up names, and I'm like, they're lucky I even said Myconoids, to be honest.
That's pretty impressive.
I was like, I don't know how I remembered that, but there was like these troll like halflings people that were attacking the area, and I killed them, and they gave me like a reward for that to enter this place. And then they said there's one other thing as well. There's this guy called Nerve near the Adamanti Forge. He's like, he's disturbing our circle of life and whatnot. If you can bring me his head, we'll be eternally grateful. And I went over there and I killed him because he was a bastard anyway. He killed one of the slaves that he had with him, and I was like, this guy needs to die.
What about there's another like alpha mushroom dude?
I've only seen one so far.
Yeah, so there's another one that wants to be in charge.
A bit of civil war going on there.
And you get to pick. Did you say
he's already anointed me as a life bringer or something like that? So I, instantly that's my thing.
Did you save the lady's husband? there's a dwarf lady down there who her husband's gone missing, looking for something.
I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, you need to make sure you speak to her. Yeah, speak to people.
Man, I went to a lot of places. I'm surprised I didn't see this bitch.
I think she's, so you know the main guys are up on the top?
Yeah.
If you walk around, she's like at the back just by a waterfall or something.
Oh.
It may not have unlocked for you. I forget if that unlocks after a set amount of things.
I'll check it out.
But yeah, she's down there. She's lost her husband. And this is one of those things. So this isn't really a spoiler. If you don't save her husband or he dies, I think she doesn't go to Baldur's Gate. And if she does go to Baldur's Gate, then they have a really good potion shop there.
Okay.
So it doesn't make a huge difference.
There was one thing that I saved scummed and I fucked up the second time.
Yeah.
And I just went with it. I was like, this is part of the game. Whatever decisions you make, just
let me stop you right there on your decision making. I'm a big fan of letting the dice decide. In my first Dungeons & Dragons game, my actual D&D game, my guy, straight, doesn't care about romance. As a throwaway line, somebody was like getting changed into a suit or something. And I was like, how good does that guy look? Like, how does he look? And he was like, roll for it. Roll perception check. I had a natural 20. He was like, he looks damn fine. So I'm like, that's it. I'm trying to pursue this guy. And my guy who was straight and wasn't interested in romance, we ended up getting married.
Oh,
and it's another dude.
There you go.
So it was also hilarious. So I'm a big fan of letting the dice decide.
Yeah.
However, because you don't have as much control as you would in a real D&D game, it is okay to save scum. If you, like, for example, Gale leaving me, I was going to give him the stuff. I just fucked up the mechanics of the game. So I saved scum that.
Okay.
Right? But if you do something, you're like, this isn't important to me enough, or I wouldn't actually use an inspiration point on this.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go with the bad outcome. Like, that's cool to do as well.
I've done that many times. Trying to unlock something, it doesn't work a million times. I use my inspirations. I'm like, that wasn't worth it. I think I'm going to go back. And
that's fine.
But this one, it was early in the beginning of the game. You know the attack on the grove of the goblins outside? What the guy was trying to pull up the door, he gets capped twice. Yeah. And you're like, capped is fucking arrow. And I was like, oh, that's terrible. The first time I went up there, I went to the woman that was like grieving over him. Yeah. And she was like, oh, like, leave me alone. And I'm like, oh, that's probably going to come back later. That's really cool. And then I went round to the side and I saw the assassin try to take out the woman who's looking through the glasses. And I was like, oh, I got there a bit late. Like, she took him out. Maybe I can like save scum and go back and I'll go there first and I'll take out that guy. Yeah. And I went there, took out the guy, saved the woman. But then when I went back to the guy that was capped on the floor, that woman wasn't there this time. Yeah. And I was like, shit, I've missed out on, that's probably going to be a storyline down the line. And
sometimes it's not that deep, but often, a lot of times these things do come
I don't know. I assume there's always going to be a reason. Like the fact that it was there one time and wasn't there the other time, I was like, there's something I'm going to be missing. I didn't save scum again though. I just went on with it and I went, all right,
sometimes it's not worth your time. You're just like, at least I know.
I have to do the whole battle again outside. Fuck that.
Like, sometimes there are things where you meet someone who saves somebody and then like you get to Baldur's Gate in Act 3 and if you find them, they are there and they're like, oh, hey, it's you. And sometimes there's nothing. Sometimes it's just dialogue. But the important thing is not, oh, what did I get out of it? It's, oh yeah, look, I did this action and had a consequence. And that's cool, man. That's cool.
By the way, I only just, after the 30 hours that I've been playing, realized that after absorbing the worms, the parasites and whatnot, there's a little thing above
you get skills and
above
stuff,
your map. The little thing is tiny. It's fucking little dot like that. It says like 5, and you can use those points to get certain powers. And I was like,
read what they do.
Yeah.
There's a couple of things. One, fly, really, really worth it. Really good ability. But can get you into places the rest of your group can't get to.
Yeah.
2, really have a think about what your guy does. So I wasn't really reading the full description. I was like, oh, that sounds good. And when I went to use it, I'm like, I can never use this thing. Why is that? And it's because it says while you're concentrating on a spell, later down, it's like when you're concentrating on a thing, you can close that off and use that extra concentration as like an attack.
Okay.
But I'm a monk and I'm never concentrating on stuff. I just read the first, like the headline, which was does 30 to 40 damage of like psychic damage. I was like, that sounds good.
Massive psychic blast.
Oh,
that sounds
like,
great.
And then it's like, turn any concentration spell into something. Like, I'm never concentrating on things. Yeah. So, and it happens to the best of us. Like, I'm not always reading this stuff, but it does help if you read these things. And it does help if you think about what gear people are using.
Yeah.
So like my guy, I had a thing that does electric damage, and it does more damage if it electric charges. And then I found a helmet that gives you electric charges when you land an unarmed attack, and I'm a monk, so I land unarmed attacks a lot, so I have a lot of electric charges, so I do more electric damage, and that's really good if I'm fighting like automatons and like robots and stuff. But if I know I'm not going to fight those, I could do poison damage instead, or necrotic damage, or holy damage, whatever I'm trying to do, radiant. So I might change up my gear, stuff like that.
I've got pretty much Shadowheart as my epic support character.
Yeah.
She's got a bunch of abilities that like help the other characters out. Like
she's awful on attacks.
Ward,
Never fucking use her for attacks. She's awful. Blade Ward's sick. You know about Spiritual Guardians?
Yeah. Cool. She basically casts those ones. I think Spiritual Guardians that goes around her. She basically has that for her own protection, and then everything else.
I use her to bully stuff. I'll move her specifically to.
Sometimes I'm like, I can't reach that character. Oh shit! But if I can get close enough, the thing's gonna hit it.
Yeah.
Nice. I use her to do all the buffs on people and stuff like that, and do cool things. And then pretty much Karlach Rage, go mental. My main character, he's also got like a sick sword as well. Did you get the sword at the very beginning of the game, by the way?
Oh, for defeating the guy on the ship,
the flaming sword.
Because I was playing a monk. So
that is fucking P. And every sword I've picked up is like. Still not as much damage.
Don't need it.
Still not as much damage.
Don't need it.
I'm gonna get into the final end boss. And I'm like, that's the best.
Also, you know, you can put like same in The Witch. You can put oils or poison oils on your sword and stuff, and that doesn't.
How long does it last?
I think it's. You'd have to read it. I can't remember because I'm a monk, so I don't have any weapons, so I never really use it. I should use it on my other party members. I don't. But there's so much cool stuff to this. So yeah, make sure you do stuff like that. And for Shadowheart. Because Spiritual Guardians is a concentration spell, you know, when you level up, you get feats. Warcaster gives her advantage on, I believe it's advantage on concentration saves.
Nice.
So you want to get that a lot.
Cool.
And don't be afraid to swap people out. Like, the health potions and stuff like that are plentiful. You can create them. Yeah, I know. What difficulty you're on?
Oh, Explorer.
Yeah,
I was like, I just want to see things. I want to see some cool stuff.
I play like once every 2 weeks with my friend, so we have it on Explorer until we get to boss battles because there's no point in these like trash fights being more difficult than they need to be. We put it up for boss fight, although we forgot. Do you know the Watchers, whatever the big robot dudes? Oh, you haven't made it to Baldur's Gate yet. Don't worry. They've implemented these guards, and there's a boss fight involved in that. And my guy does electric damage, and I just destroyed this dude. And I was like, I got in there. I'm like, man, I should have used haste because it gives me more attacks. I already have like 4 attacks. And I was like, it'll be fine. I did like. I near all but one shot this boss. I was like, fuck, we didn't to the difficulty. He was like, to be honest, I don't think it matters all that much. Like the way I have my guy built, my guy wrecks house. He will fuck you up. It's great, but also I want to play it a more squishy, more like high risk. Sorry, this is about your experience.
No, this is quite fun.
What else are you doing? So you made it to the Underdark.
Underdark, I explored a fair amount of that. There was one tower in there that I got all the way to the top, and there was a robot. I still
need to go back and do that. Fuck, I forgot to do that.
I spoke to the robot, and it seemed like our conversation ended, and then there was nothing else to do up there. I don't know what There's
definitely something in there. I know for a fact there's something in there, but I forgot to do it because I
didn't piss the guy off.
Yeah.
And then he just sort of like went back. He was like, cool, all right.
You may want to go back with maybe Gale, because he has high Arcana. I believe it's an Arcana check in there, but I can't remember. I forgot to go back. I'm going to go back and do that. I can't. I'm locked into Act 3. Shit.
Yeah, sorry, mate.
Anyway.
And what else I've got? I'm trying to think of my journal list of like all the shit I've got running.
There's tons of stuff to do, man. There's so much stuff to
do.
There's
so much, and I'm enjoying the fuck out of it, man.
There's some great stuff.
There's a lot to think about, and there's lots of planning to do because it took me shockingly long to realize that you only have a limited number of like 1, 2, and 3 spell slots.
Oh god!
I was like, I was like out of battle. I was using instead of like using short rest and whatnot.
Yeah.
I would like, my character's got this like sick area of effect healing thing, and I bust it.
I'll just use it.
And I was like, cool. It didn't fully heal my character, so I'll use 2. And I'm like, why can't I use it again? What the fuck is this? And then it's one of those
I really
ones
should
that's
have
like,
explained that to you.
It doesn't come back until long rest. I'm like, shit.
Yeah. Some different classes get different
like
things.
just above the where the spells are, there's the things, and it's like disappears 1, disappears 2. And I'm like, shit. And it took me shockingly long to realize that.
So you have Will in your party a lot, so he's a warlock. He gets almost all of his stuff back on a short rest anyway. So it would be, based on your party composition, it'd be very easy to not notice that. If you're really focusing on Will a lot, you're like, short rest does it all the time. You know? It's a really good game. There's a lot to it. But
I'm like, I get this thing and it's like unlimited. Oh my God, it's amazing. Wait, why is it limited?
I will say as well, you end up with so much money that I would say anytime you go to a merchant, just sell all the crap you don't need and buy anything that looks interesting. If you see any interesting scrolls, buy them and use them. Okay. If you see interesting potions, buy them and use them. You know, especially like you're a paladin, there are potions of strength. Push your strength up. You'll be able to carry more. You'll do more damage. You know, put poison on your sword. Do all of that stuff.
I need to use potions a lot more. I don't use it as much.
Because I use potions out of combat to avoid using my short rest and long rests because I'm using very high level potions. Like my monk, this is so ridiculous. I use the elixir of hill giant strength. So my monk has 27 strength, which is why he deletes shit.
How?
And bearing in mind, he's a dex. He does damage based on his dex modifier, right? And he also has strength, which affects physical damage. He just deletes shit. But they're expensive and rare, so I try not to rest. So I do all my healing with potions. So every time I see healing potions, even little ones, I just buy them to just top up out of combat. But do find this, and also don't collect 1,000 scrolls of like scroll of this, scroll of that.
I do have a lot.
I know you do. Of course you do. Start using them. Now you can't if you're Karlak and she's raging, for example. But what you could do is if you have a scroll of like, I don't know, hold person or something, right? You use Karlak and it's Karlak's turn. Before you rage, you do all of that and use up her action, and then you use up her movement getting there, and then you rage. And now you're raging. You've already attacked with a spell. And you're up close. Yeah. You know?
That's the smart way of doing it. Sometimes I've done it the opposite way and I'm like, for fuck's sake.
Of course you do. Of course you do. Of course you do.
Or like sometimes
I do it, by the way, all the time. I'm like, I found a scroll of disintegrate, which is a very high level damaging spell. And I'm like, I need to use this. And I'm like, oh, Karlak, this would be a great one for her. Every single time. Rage, hit. Oh, fuck.
God damn it.
God damn it.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Baldur's Gate is very fun.
It's very fun.
And I've upped my gaming now with the dedicated professional.
Now it's a better PC.
Yeah.
Also, for example, like, you know, Will, if you're out of spell slots, you can just have him use scrolls because he's a magic caster anyway, and keep him more useful between your long and short rests. So
there you go. Well, I can't wait to play tonight. That's what I'm going to be doing tonight.
Also, it's a game we can jam together. We can co-op and jump into another.
I'm really interested in this thing. I hope I don't slow people down though, because you guys are obviously very experienced in it. If I was to join you guys, I don't want to be
the home game.
Yeah,
no, you wouldn't be at all. There's people in there that haven't played at all.
Because obviously,
Nadine doesn't play. She plays with us, but she's half the time.
Hold on. There's girls at this thing.
Two of them.
Oh God!
I know.
What's the point? We're playing D&D.
I know.
We don't know about sausage fest.
Like she's played a few games and she'll be like, "Can I do this?" I'm like, "Don't ask me what you want. Like, can I do this? What? Tell me what you want to do, and I'll tell you if you can do it. You know." Or like I'll say, "Okay, so the shopkeeper tells you this." She goes, "Can I ask him for this?" Ask him. Why are you asking me if you can do it? You should just do the thing.
I'm totally gonna be the funny guy. Actually, probably all gonna be funny in there because we're both fucking.
It's pretty chaotic.
I'm gonna be in there and be like, so is she wearing a thong? Can I roll a investigation check or whatever check it is, or whatever perception check? Yeah, she is. What color is it?
Rough color. Rough color matching. She wearing matching.
Is it part of Victoria's Secret or is it like a Primark thing?
I do make it pretty. Personally, I find like the bardic I'd roll to seduce sort of thing relatively awkward, mainly because I'm here to play Dungeons and Dragons. Like, this isn't Romance Simulator. This isn't Baldur's Gate 3, okay?
Halfway through the thing, one of the characters, and you just get off on this romance. Everyone else is forced to watch it. It's just like,
and like if a romance happens organically, I would totally go with it. But the point is, you have this overarching driving force and goal, and especially that we don't have a bard and
completely missed out.
Yeah,
I met my guardian. This hot piece of arse that I made. Gorgeous.
That gets really interesting.
Thing. And I want to see more of that.
You will.
It gets really very mysterious and very cool. I do have a part of me was like, is she tricking me? She's like, yeah, take on all the parasites. Take on the Illithid's power. Keep using it. Use it more, in fact. And I'm like...
As far as I can tell, there's no negative impact to taking those on. I haven't finished the game in my first playthrough yet. I just don't play
Just
enough,
looking at the graphic when you're choosing the things... Where like your brain is there. Yeah. It's like a picture of your brain. And it's got these little things you can choose. And then when you click on something, that bit goes all grey and veiny. And you're like, this doesn't look good for my brain. It doesn't look great.
But I'm pretty sure that there's no like negative effects.
What's going to happen is like, you used all these things, you've got 20 of them, you get to the end, they're like, we can remove the parasite. Oh, you've took 20 of them?
Yeah.
We can't do anything about you. Sorry, man.
There's... I need to give you a little warning.
Go on.
It is possible to end the game in Act 2 if you make a decision. So when you feel that you are, when you feel it's more of like a bow and arrow. Yeah.
Sorry, I did it because not long enough.
You need to get a bow with like 5 strings, a shotgun effect. It should be fairly obvious, but when you get to like a big story event, so like one of those main story things, like anything with the orb, Shadowheart's orb,
that artifact thing,
when you get to like investigating it, do a bit of saving around there, and you can save F5, you know that you can save like in dialogue options and stuff as well, so that you probably won't make that decision, but if you do make that decision, that's it, you end the game. And the game is nowhere near done at that point.
There's that's what bugs me so much about this game, is that you can very easily lock yourself out of so much content.
But that's a good thing.
It's part of
your decisions have consequences. Equally, there is so much still left open to you. You know, it's very rare that you lock yourself out of like a real part of the game. It's more like you lock yourself out of a route in the game, if that makes sense. So,
I did meet what's his name? The devil guy.
Raphael?
Yeah, Raphael.
Do you have Withers, by the way? You should have Withers. What? The old skeleton dude?
Yes.
Cool, good.
Yes.
You're supposed to have him. I don't think you can miss him, but I think you
can, because he's at the beginning part of when you fall off the Nautilus.
Yeah, I feel like you're supposed to go there, but...
Yeah, when I went there, the first door was locked, and I remember in my first playthroughs, I was like, well, it's locked, I guess I'll go this way.
I would have thought that you get sent there at some point, because I don't know how else you do the game without Withers.
I've also seen some massive trolls that come to that position as well, and I haven't seen them either. I was like, must miss that one. Anyway, bro, it's been great talking about Baldur's Gate with you.
Some D&D.
We are going to have to call it for today and get to talking on the Conbrosations podcast.
Buddy.
We've got lots of stuff to talk about there, including where I went to go see the Deadpool movie, Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yes.
And get to rub that in your face a little bit.
Yeah. All
right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for listening to us ramble about video games for a while, and we hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys are also playing Baldur's Gate, feel free to tweet me. Don't ever tweet Sheps. He's only talking about Python on there.
That's right, I'm talking about my Python.
He's talking about his Python all the time.
That's it.
I'm rubbing it nice. We'll catch you guys all in the next one. Thank you guys for the support, and thank you. If you're on podcast services, fuck it, and tell everyone to like the things and whatnot. Like the video.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah, like and subscribe. And if you're on podcast services, rate us 5 stars. It helps us out. Thanks so much. And we'll catch you in the next one.
Only right at the end. That's fine. It's fine. They're all still listening.
This is the part where everybody listens.
This is
after this, that's where it drops
Everybody
off.
Skips to the end.
Yeah,
that is true. Everybody drops off after this. That is the true fact. That's
when it gets to the end of the video, suddenly it goes down to 0 views for some reason.
It's weird, isn't it?